The sexual reproduction in Eudaganium is very much interesting. As usual, the sexual reproduction takes place towards the end of the favorable conditions or in the beginning of the unfavorable season. When the water becomes scarce, nutrients get depleted, and the ponds start to dry up, the vegetative growth of the filament ceases and it turns to the reproductive stage. There are homothallic and heterothallic species. In homothallic species, both Antheridia and Archegonia are developed in the same filament, and in heterothallic filaments, the female sex organs and male sex organs are developed in different filaments. And again, there are two types of Eudagonium species based on the development of Antheridium or the male reproductive structure. The two types are named as Macrandrus species and Nanandrus species. Remember, it is not a species. Those species which are Macrandrus are known as Macrandrus species, and those species which are Nanandrus are called as Nanandrus species. Nanandrus species are those organisms which produce a nanandrium. And nanandrium is a unique structure present only in these Eudagoniales. So this sexual reproduction is a little bit complicated. In the case of Macrandrus species, it's a normal organism, normal filament. It can be monoecious or dioecious. In the case of monoecious Macrandrus species, both the male sex organs and female sex organs are developed in the same filament. In the dioecious species of Macrandrus type, the female sex organ is developed in one filament and the male sex organ is developed under another filament. The male filament developed the antheridium and produced the antherozooids. Antherozooids are motile gametes formed inside the antheridium. They are formed from the specialized cells, just like the zoospore development. The only difference is that there is no that much accumulation of food materials as in the case of zoospores, and so they are smaller in size than the zoospore. Because zoospore has to swim and find out a suitable substratum and begin a new filament. But in the case of antherozooid, its function is to fuse with the gamete, female gamete. So it doesn't need that much accumulated food, so it will be smaller in size. Just like the zoospore, the antherozooids are also released to the surrounding water. It swims and finds out an oogonium, get fertilized with it and form a zygote. But in the case of Nanandrus species, the antheridium or the antherozooids are developed from specialized male individuals known as nanandrium. Nanandrium is developed by the germination and development of specialized spores known as the androspores. And these androspores are developed from the androsporangium. So that's the major difference. So we can say, in the case of Nanandrus species, the antherozooids are produced from short specialized filaments which are growing nearby the archegonium, nearby the egg cell, and release the antherozooids in the vicinity of the archegonium, so that it is the fertilization is ensured. Then these androzooids are developed from specialized cells known as specialized sporangia known as androsporangia, which are produced in a separate filament onto the same filament. So here there is no monoecious filaments in the case of Nanandrus species because both the male and female are different. Male filament is a nanandrium and the female filament is the normal filament. But the nanandrium is developed from a spore which is called as androspore, which is produced from another large filament. One filament produces specialized spores called androspores. These androspores are also similar to zoospores, same mechanism as the zoospore, but it will be smaller than the normal zoospore. This androspore released from the filament or androsporangium swim in the water, find out the female sporangium. The zoospore can germinate on any surface, but these androspores can germinate only in the vicinity of the oosporangium, in the wall of the oospore or in the supporting cell of the oospore. It germinates there and produces a short filament of up to 10 cells, and the apical cell produce small gametes. Usually 2 gametes are produced from a single cell, and these gametes are also similar to the zoospore or the gamete of the anthrozoid of the Macrandra species, but it will be smaller in size because it has to swim very short distance. It will be smaller in size and it is released to the surrounding water. It swims towards the mature archegonium and fertilize the egg. If both this androsporangium and oogonium are developed on the same filament, we call such filaments as gynandrosporous, because gynecium and androsporangium are formed in the same filament, gynandrosporous. We do not call it as monoecious because the filament is producing androspore and oogonium. If the androspores are produced from one filament and female sporangia are not developed in the same filament, it is developed from another filament where no androspores are formed. Such a condition can be seen in some species, and such species are called as idioandrosporous. Idioandrosporous. That means it is similar to the dioecious condition because androspores are formed from one filament and the oospore is developed from the another filament. This androspore swim and reach the oogonium, germinate in the supporting cell or in the cell wall of the oogonium, and the gametes are released from the terminal cell of this nanandrium, and subsequent cells also produce anthrozoids which can fertilize the egg. So what is the significance of this development of Nanandra species? It is very interesting evolutionally because it is a mechanism to ensure the fertilization of the egg. Again, it is the development of increasing cross-fertilization. And it's a mechanism evolved in plants to ensure fertilization when the parent plants are separated very much. If the gamete is directly produced, it may not get the chance to reach the exact egg. So it produces a spore-like structure known as the androspore. It swims and finds out a suitable female thallus. It develops there, and along with the female gamete, the male gamete is also released. That ensure the cross-fertilization. It is not at all comparable to the pollen grains of the higher plants, but we can trace some similarities. The pollen grains are shed, they reach the surface of the stigma, then germinate, the gametes are produced. The pollen mechanism is to ensure the fertilization process. The germination of the pollen grain or the formation of gamete takes place only when it reaches the stigma. So it is highly evolved mechanism of pollination can be traced to this Nanandra species where the androspores ensure that the gamete is released in the vicinity of the oogonium. So this is the difference between the Macrandra species and Nanandra species. Coming to oogonia, in Oedogonium, the female sex organ oogonia are highly differentiated female gametangia. It is formed in the intercalary position usually, but in some cases, such as in Oedogonium pallians, the terminal position can be seen. The structure and development of oogonium is identical in Macrandrus and Nanandrus species. Any freely divided, actively growing cap cell function as the oogonial mother cell. It undergoes a transverse division
into two unequal cells, the upper cell and the lower cell. The upper cell forms the oogonium proper, and the lower cell, which is smaller in size, function as the supporting cell or suffultatory cell. In some cases, oogonial mother cells directly forms the oogonium. Supporting cell is absent in Oedogonium americanum. If two adjacent cells functions directly as oogonial mother cell, then many oogonia can be seen in a chain. The protoplast of the oogonium metamorphoses into a single egg or oosphere. The oosphere is non-motile, green due to the presence of chlorophyll, and there is a central nucleus. As the ovum matures, the nucleus moves to periphery. The oosphere retracts slightly from the oogonial wall and develops a hyaline receptive spot just outside the nucleus. The receptive spots receive antherozooids for fertilization. Based on the nature of the receptive spot, there are two species. A pore is formed by the gelatinization of wall in proliferous species, whereas a transverse slit is formed in the operculate species. In both species, a thin membrane is deposited on the inner node of the exit, which functions as the channel leading down to the ovum. In many species, a mucilage drop is extruded through the opening to attract the antherozooids. In the case of Macrandus species which are monoecious, that is, both Antheridia and Archegonia are developed on the same plant, the Oedogonium species are protogynous. That means the oogonia develops first and Antheridia develop little later, so that the cross fertilization is ensured.
After fertilization, the events are similar. The zygote is formed. As I told, the sexual fertilization, sexual reproduction takes place in the beginning of the unfavorable condition. So after fertilization, the oogonium develop a thick wall and become the oospore. By that time, the filaments or the thallus may dry up. This thick walled spore remain there and tide over the adverse conditions. When the favorable condition returns, the first division of the zygote is meiotic. As a result, haploid cells are produced. So in the case of Oedogonium, the life cycle is haplontic and the meiosis is zygotic meiosis. After zygotic meiosis, meiospores are produced. These meiospores are also similar to the zoospores. They swim and reach a substratum and grow there as a filament, which is haploid. So we can see the life cycle of Oedogonium here. The plant body is a haploid. The haploid plant body can reproduce by vegetative methods, by fragmentation, echinid formation. Asexual reproduction takes place by zoospore formation, and sexual reproduction takes place by the formation of antherozooids and oogonium. If the antherozooids are developed from a short filament known as nanandrium, such species are called as nanandrous species. With the presence of this nanandrous stage, sexual reproduction of Oedogonium is complicated. So that's all about Oedogonium. Thank you.